Papier bitte. Danke. Sie können passieren. Ein Liter!
Oh, Hitler. Fucking Nazi twit.
Greetings gamers, Ian Higton from Eurogamer here. Now, I've been playing a lot of Wolfenstein The New Order recently, and its sci-fi Nazis winning World War II and ruling the world with big robots storyline got me thinking about other games that have messed with the past and created brand new, horrible histories for us to run amok in. Some of them are great, but just as many deserve your hate. So here's my rundown of some of the best and some of the worst games which feature plots based on alternate historical timelines. Amiga classic The Chaos Engine is set in an alternate version of Victorian England, one where a careless time traveller gone done created a brand new timeline by letting all of his future tech fall into the hands of the inventor Baron Fortescue. By reverse engineering this technology, the Baron managed to create the titular Chaos Engine, a machine which had the ability to alter the fabric of time and space. Sounds great! Whatever could go wrong? Well, of course, messing with matter never really turns out that well in sci-fi land, and after the Chaos Engine pulled a Skynet on Baron Fortescue by becoming self-aware, it proceeded to assimilate him and take over Great Britain, flooding the green and pleasant hills of our lovely island with monsters, mechs and prehistoric beasties. With the whole of Britain now looking like Swindon, the only people willing to enter the Isles to try and put a stop to the engine are a bunch of gun-toting, money-hungry mercenaries, which of course results in some glorious steampunk action.
Node activated.
In other news, the Chaos Engine also had some of the best intro music ever seen in a video game. Break it down!
Of free mind and spirit, lay down your weapons, or be crushed by the mighty legions of PSI.
Imagine, if you will, that the American Civil War had lasted several decades instead of just 4 years. Then imagine that the internal combustion engine was never invented, so everything had to run on steam. This is the alternate reality setting for cowboy-based third-person shooter Damnation, and unfortunately for all involved, the sad reality is the game was rubbish. With gameplay that looks like it dates back to the American Civil War and graphics and animation to match, plus a motorbike level that gives Ride to Hell Retribution a run for its money, Damnation was one ugly, glitchy mess.
What goes up must come down, and in Damnation players will be given moments of incredible vertigo-inducing vistas which they must navigate their way through, with plenty of whoa moments.
The only whoa moment I had was when I said, "What the hell did I just spend my hard-earned money on? I must be an idiot."
The end of the Great War promised hope for a nation. But prohibition and oppression eroded the core of the Union. The new nations turned to the sky, ushering in a new era of commerce.
I absolutely loved Crimson Sky's High Road to Revenge, spending many an hour playing split-screen multiplayer with my mates. This airborne arcadey dogfight sim is set in a universe where the Great Depression has broken the good old US of A up into 20 mini-nations with crazy names like the Nation of Hollywood and the Confederation of Dixie, with the ensuing civil wars meaning that an interstate highway system was never fully developed. Automobiles and trains are mostly out of the picture, and the main transport for the country's inhabitants are now propeller planes and zeppelins. Cue 20 levels worth of solid air-based battles between fantastical planes that utilise cool weapons like magnetic rockets and a Tesla coil, and 4-player split-screen multiplayer, and multiplayer for up to 16 players. Crimson Sky's High Road to Revenge really was heaven in a Hamilton 1916 tractor biplane. Plus, you can also do a barrel roll! Wait, that's not a barrel roll, that was an Immelman. Oh, joke ruined.
Wir müssen die Amerikaner reinigen. Sie alle abschaffen. Und unser neues Land behaupten. Das Land, das sie pflegten zu benennen. Amerika.
One of the worst games I have ever had the misfortune to play is Turning Point Fall of Liberty. It's a game so bad that it almost made me give up gaming, and it's also the second terrible game on this list to be published by Codemasters. It really is no wonder they decided to concentrate on racing games considering their track record with shooters. With a premise that is similar to that of Wolfenstein: The New Order, but with gameplay that makes aliens colonial marines look like Resident Evil 4, Turning Point Fall of Liberty is set in an alternate World War II where Winston Churchill dies before he could become Prime Minister. Without his leadership, the UK and the rest of Europe, North Africa and the Middle East soon buckled under the might of Nazi Germany, and the game kicks off proper with their inevitable invasion of the United States. Stiff controls, awkward aiming and dim-witted enemies result in frustrating combat, which is not a good trait for a first-person shooter to have, but this is the least of its worries considering large chunks of the game are just plain broken. Falling through or getting stuck in the scenery, cutscenes not activating leaving you to shoot Nazis for infinity, textures not loading properly or at all, Turning Point was just a horrid mess. In my perfect alternate history of the gaming world, Turning Point would never have been made.
Now, gentlemen, as I like to think, in the long history of the world, that there are only a few generations.
Sounds like someone breaking in!
It's just a storm, Dick. Sit down.
More a portion of a game rather than a whole game, the Nazi zombie mode in Call of Duty Black Ops is one of the most alternative alternate histories in any game. Somehow Nixon, JFK, Fidel Castro and Robert McNamara, who wears glasses to avoid succumbing to the fog of war, are trapped in the Pentagon by a zombie horde, and it's up to you and 3 other players, if you've got friends, to get them out. Mixing the addictive nature of Call of Duty's zombie horde mode with this utterly bonkers premise actually works really well, injecting a good dose of humour into an already off-the-wall concept. The only problem I have with it is the inclusion of possibly the worst Nixon impression ever.
No, Mr. Hippie, I expect you to die. Pass the ammo, please.
Nowadays, Steam Early Access means we can regularly pay to play unfinished games, if we so choose. Before the invention of Steam Early Access, you could still do this, but as is the case with Gettysburg Armoured Warfare, these unfinished games were sold underhandedly as completed releases. This online-only real-time strategy stroke third-person shooter that supports up to 64 players did have a cool premise. A man from 2060 time travels back to the American Civil War with a bunch of future weapons, hoping to give the Confederate forces a bit of an unfair advantage and in turn change the future of America. The idea of combining the muskets and revolvers of the Civil War with RPGs and machine guns of the future in huge battles could have been a brilliant one, if handled well. In this case, the one-man developed game was developed incredibly poorly and was released unfinished to hit a deadline. The resulting game, if you can call it that, was just a broken mess. Sometimes levels wouldn't load, sometimes the skybox wouldn't load, scenery would just disappear into thin air as soon as you touched it, and spawning units would sometimes just explode for no reason. There's been a few patches since release, but this utter disaster of a game is still an unplayable mess.
Ain't a problem can't be fixed by 50 rounds a second.
Yeah, all except for that Metacritic score, maybe. Okay, so those are my picks for the best and worst alternative history games. But what are yours? I purposely skipped big franchises like Resistance and Assassin's Creed to go for some more obscure examples, but I've probably missed out on some classics, so let us know your best or worst in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more daily gaming goodness. In an alternate reality, our channel would be rubbish, but luckily for everyone in this reality, it's like super awesome. So get clicking. Goodbye!